Hey there, guys. Alright, today we are back with some more potential history, and this time we're learning about the USS William Porter once again. We learned it from Salmonella, and here we're going to get potential histories telling of these events. DD-579, the ship that almost killed FDR. Before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love if you join the Discord and follow me over at Twitch. And also, please do go subscribe to my gaming channel here on YouTube, where I am uploading my old Twitch streams and stupid clips. With all that said, let's dive right in.
Don't worry, Captain. We'll buff out those scratches.
All right, never mind it. Just jump out when I give the signal. Huh?
Hey guys, cite your fucking sources here. Hey guys, questionable lighting here. Hey guys, Commie Jew here. That's right, I'm actually a hardcore communist sympathizer, and I let it slip on Filthy Frank advises the German High Command. I'm sure you noticed from the intro, but this video
I'm a filthy commie. I am.
is actually about one very specific ship, and I haven't even looked for footage yet, but I'm almost certain it doesn't exist, so you have to look at me the whole time. I'm sorry. The ship in question is DD-579, or the USS William Porter, named after Commodore William Porter, who was actually a fairly interesting character on his own. But he has nothing on the actual ship, which Wikipedia describes as predominantly remembered today for the string of extremely unfortunate events that plagued her short 3-year career. So it's kind of a meme ship. I really gotta stop using that. 3 of the last 4 video titles had meme in them. I'm becoming a meme by using meme too much. Anyways, the USS William Porter was a Fletcher-class destroyer, had 5 5-inch guns, quite a few anti-aircraft guns, 10 torpedo tubes. It was a good time. Commissioned on 6 July 1943, right out of the gate, it began its long string of bad luck, starting with leaving the docks for the first time.
Oh no.
Now, the story goes that when the Porter was leaving the docks, it brought its anchors up, but didn't bring them up all the way, which caused the anchors to interface with the 2 ships next to her, causing quite a bit of damage to both of them. And this is where you get into one of the problems with this ship, because there's quite a few stories about it that are very unsubstantiated. They're not in the ship's logs, and there's not really too much record of them, but the stories have been retold over and over and over again. So this first story may not have happened, and there's a few more that I'll mention, but the stuff that really did happen to it is hilarious enough. After this first mishap, its first mission was to escort the battleship, the USS Iowa, to North Africa. The USS Iowa was going to be carrying President Franklin Delano Roosevelt as long as a few chiefs of staff to go to the Tehran conferences. Now this seems about as easy of a job as you could get, right? You and a bunch of battleships are just crossing the ocean, look out for U-boats, right?
Wrong.
It's not that simple.
Oh, no.
So the first of many mishaps on this journey happened when the USS Porter accidentally threw a depth charge over, and it detonated in the water, making everybody think there was a U-boat, and emergency action was taken. Now, this is also one of those stories that doesn't quite hold up to the same scrutiny, but it's a little more well documented than the other one, so this one might have actually happened. One thing that is completely
How the fuck do you accidentally just throw a depth charge? What?
documented, though, is one of the boilers messed up in the ship, and it had to kind of drag behind for a little bit while it was being repaired. But the biggest thing that happened to this ship, and probably the most hilarious thing, was when it accidentally almost killed the president. You see, FDR was a huge fan of the US Navy. He'd been a sailor previously. So as Roosevelt is going along with the Navy, he wants to see the Navy
Them Roosevelts, man, they love the US Navy. You know, Teddy fucking sailing the ships across the Pacific or whatever to swing that big stick, and then FDR here. Oh.
show off some of its prowess. And he asked the USS Iowa to do an anti-air drill, showing off how well they can shoot down enemy planes. Now the way this is done is they launch a bunch of balloons into the air and the Iowa shoots them down. Simple enough. The Iowa missed a few of these balloons though too, and the Porter got involved shooting down some of the balloons. It's at this point that FDR also requests that some of the escort ships show off what they can do in the form of a torpedo drill, of which the target is going to be the Iowa, which is your first mistake. Like, there's no room for error there. Anyways, the Porter readies its torpedo throwers, fires the first one to no effect. Nothing happens, it fails to launch. The second one it fires, though, careens into the water right as some of the people watching realize it's an actual live torpedo. And of course they panic, trying to figure out how to tell the Iowa that this was happening, because of course this is a very secret mission. The president didn't even want the people in the US to know that he had left. He was meeting with people for a very important meeting that the Axis could not know about. So radio chatter was pretty much prohibited. So the Porter, not wanting to break orders, decides that they'll signal the Iowa with a signal light. The only problem is whoever was doing this, I get the feeling, didn't know what they were doing.
Oh no.
Because they first signaled the Iowa that a torpedo was coming from the opposite way, and there's no way they would have known that. They can't see through the ship to the other side of the sea. And second, they signal that the Porter is going to start backing up, which made no sense to the Iowa.
That doesn't make sense.
It's only after the torpedo looked like it was going to hit the ship and had been going for a while that they decided it would probably be worse to kill the president than to break radio silence. And they say something along the lines of,
"We fucked up.
Live fish in the water, evasive action." The captain of the Iowa then takes evasive action and barely careens out of the way of the torpedo, which explodes in its wake. Although apparently FDR didn't give a shit and just thought it was the best thing ever, because records say that he asked his aides to wheel him over to the side of the ship to see the torpedo incoming. Dude doesn't give a fuck. Anyways, after this, the Porter was sent home.
And that's another thing in that Roosevelt blood, I guess, like, Jesus Christ. Teddy gets shot, continues his speech. FDR's like, I almost died. I want to watch that torpedo go boom.
And an inquiry was to be made about what happened. And it's at this point that we get to another false story about the Porter. It's been repeated over and over again that Marines were waiting at the dock to arrest the entire crew. That's not true. Only one person got arrested. Chief Torpedoman Lawton Dawes. And it's pretty understandable as to why. I mean, he almost killed the president out of negligence. However, FDR intervened on his behalf and commuted his sentence because he figured it was just an accident. Good guy, FDR. But it is decided that maybe the Atlantic isn't quite the place for this ship, and maybe we can change its luck by sending it to the Pacific.
Oh no.
This whole
It
food
continues.
for eternity thing isn't working out. It's not really you so much as it is me.
You're setting us free?
Well, actually, I'm just gonna
Send you to the fucking Japanese.
This is not before, though, an unconfirmed report of one of the 5-inch guns accidentally firing at a US military base. Although I really don't think this one happened, it's even more poorly sourced, but it's just kind of part of the mythos. When in the Pacific, the Porter did the same things that all the destroyers of its class normally did. Escorting, fire support, and shore bombardment. And it actually spent a lot of its time in the Philippines, but it got there too late for the invasion of Leyte. Fun fact, my grandfather was part of the initial invasion of Leyte. He was only there for 2 days. After
Hold on, I'm going to read that, Mr. Potential History. He was involved in one of the initial waves and always told a story of waiting on the beach overnight in this sector with their weapons trained on the jungle, shooting anything that moved, leaves, birds, etc. The next day, his unit headed into the jungle and were ambushed a ways in, as typical for the Japanese late war strategy. He engaged a Japanese machine gun nest, and his squad took it out, and after he was shot right under his ear and his neck, and also hit by mortar fragments, he was taken to the rear, treated, and sent home. In the 60s or 70s, I'll have to check with my dad when it was, he went to the doctor complaining of chest pain, and the doctors found there were still some more small bits of shrapnel in his chest that they removed with a few more pieces further in that there were more of a risk to go in and get than they were to just leave in. He carried them until the day he died. To this day, there are small Japanese mortar fragments in the cemetery in my hometown. He was one tough man.
After a while there, the ship was
Hoorah.
selected to take part in the invasion of Okinawa, where it did much of the same things offshore supporting the invasion. But anyone who knows about the Pacific can tell you that Okinawa is where the kamikaze problem got really, really bad, and the
Oh.
Navy was taking a lot of casualties because of it. Because of this, they sent out detachments of ships as kind of a forward warning thing where they would scan for radar and then radio the fleet that a kamikaze attack was incoming. And the Porter was selected for this job, where on June 10th, 1945, its run of bad luck came to a head. A single outdated D-3A Val dive bomber made an approach on the ship, and the crew was able to shoot it down and have it splash in the water. However, they were not able to destroy the plane before it hit the water. So the plane coming in with all this velocity hit the water, went down, and floated beneath the Porter, where it detonated, causing the ship to rise out of the water from the explosion. The crew spent quite a few hours trying to keep the ship afloat, but eventually they realized it was a lost cause as the ship began to go down. However, this is where the Porter's string of bad luck actually ends, because not a single casualty was taken either in the initial explosion or the sinking, as nearby ships were able to pick up the entirety of the crew.
Everybody lives, bros.
So I guess it did have good luck where it counts. Sorry for the
Yes.
change in format. This thing probably won't be usual. It's just, this was a fairly obscure topic, but one I really wanted to do upon request. You know, I said this in a Patreon Q&A already, but I'll say it again. I feel like I almost should have instead been one of those commentary channels, because this whole thing is so much easier than the normal thing. Like, I didn't have to write a script. I have my notes here, but, like, that's it. If you took the research out of it and you're just talking to the camera as your opinions, I mean, this thing's easy. I did rip off someone's format pretty hard, though. But that's like a good amount of this website. I would like to thank my patrons.
That's kind of what I'm doing. Try to add in some commentary here and there, but quite frankly, when it comes to stuff that you want to watch, it tends to be stuff that you don't know much about because you want to learn, right? That's what I'm here for. And when you got something like this, there really isn't much to add. So it kind of feels I'm also low energy today. Fucking frustrated at a thing. Hopefully I'll have it dealt with tomorrow. But anyways, that was the USS William Porter DD-579, the ship that almost killed FDR. And also would have sunk, a battleship, the USS Iowa. Well, would that torpedo have been enough to sink the ship? Maybe. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.